Hello, welcome to Context. I'm Orkan Amashov here to ask some pertinent and relevant questions in order to be able to hear elucidating answers. Today I'm joining you not from the studio but from the Baku Congress Center, where the inaugural Global South NGO Forum is taking place. And just a few moments ago, this forum has established what is known as Global South NGO Platform, which is designed to be a multilateral, inclusive, permanent mechanism bringing together civil society organizations and representatives from Global South countries and making their efforts more viable on the ground stage. And today I'm delighted and honored to have the opportunity to converse with and interview Mr. Wook-Chin Chung, Chief of the NGO branch at UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. What a great delight and honor to interview, sir. Welcome to A-News.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you very much indeed. We quite often talk about international system in the grand sense of the word, not functioning, sort of dysfunctioning, being sort of eroded, in need of being reformed properly. To what extent the self-same argument could be deemed as related not just to the part of the international system dealing with governments and state bodies, but also with non-governmental sector?
First of all, this year marks 80th anniversary of the United Nations. When the United Nations was created in 1945, it was not to make the world the heaven. It was created not to make the world suffer again from the Third World War or of the disasters or human rights violation. I think it is still pertinent right now with more issues because of the climate change and of the humanitarian issues, as well as other natural disasters and things, which needs the global attention and which needs the global solidarity and support. Like you said, not only from the government, but also from the NGOs, civil society, and academia and private sector, because those global issues we are facing right now cannot be resolved only by the government, only by the private sector or the NGOs. In that sense, it is all the more important to work together in the venue of the United Nations and the talk together. It is also true that the multilateralism and the United Nations is sometimes being criticized, but still think about the world without the United Nations, and think about the world without this kind of venue to talk and discuss about the challenges we are facing and the action we need to take.
Yep. The world would have been a worse place without the United Nations, but United Nations itself in need of sort of being changed. And to what extent what is happening in the wider geography of Global South with countries, NGOs, civil society organizations being under the impression, I'm actually strongly believing that they're not properly represented within the UN structures. For example, you mentioned, I believe in your remarks, that the number of NGOs from Global South with consultative status within the UN, their number does not correspond with their actual number. So they should be more represented, the representation should be more proportionate. Do you think that in the face of this challenge, the consolidation of Global South could actually make UN itself as a body, as a world's number one body, inclusive of all elements, more inclusive and more just and fair in terms of the representation levels?
That's exactly one of the reasons I decided to accept the invitation to come here to explain about the need for NGOs from Global South to engage more with the United Nations, because you can hear the voices of the governments from Global South in the UN and New York, but out of 6,500 NGOs accredited to the ECOSOC formally, we only have the 40% of representation from Global South. Even though the Global South represent more than 70% of the whole UN and the global world. So in that sense, we need to hear from the people, not only the government, but also those grassroots of the civil society movements and the people who knows and which is really connected with the real problems and challenges we are facing. In that sense, I'd like to encourage more and more of the NGOs and civil societies to apply and connect with the NGOs so that they can share their experience and share their knowledge and share their concerns and act together with the United Nations and governments from all around the world.
And to achieve this noble purpose, what is the likelihood of this platform, Global South NGO platform, actually succeeding in bringing those NGOs together and being an effective mechanism enabling the fulfillment of those aspirations that are relevant to all Global South countries and the NGOs represented therein?
So what is unique and important about today's forum initiated by the Azerbaijani government and the NGOs on the ground is that you kind of created the venue for NGOs from Global South to come together and share their knowledge and experiences and lessons they learned, and consolidate their voices to be heard to the outside world. Because I noticed that these kind of voices has not been well heard or represented in the UN or in the world. But if you get reunited and get more information shared through this kind of channels and platform, you can have stronger voices, and the action can be enacted by this proposal. So in that sense, it is quite important and timely to hold this Global South NGO Forum today.
And interestingly enough, this platform, which has just been established just an hour ago during the opening ceremony of the first ever Global South NGO Forum, is something beyond that original scope. It's dealing with a number of issues, of course, and it's partly could be described as Azerbaijan's COP legacy. When it comes to climate change, which is an issue related and cared for by many countries because it's a common problem of the humanity. When you see the government bodies disagreeing on finer points of how much should be paid, who should pay what should be the mechanism, and you see quite a huge amount of geopolitics when it comes to climate change discussions. We always quite often talk about the geopolitics of climate change. Do you think that NGO element when it comes to climate change related discussions will be less geopolitical and more substance oriented?
First, I can tell you that I was working for the former Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, when the climate change agreement was unanimously agreed in 2015. And before then, there was no such global agreement on climate change issues, and there was no such understanding about the challenges and the crisis we are facing with this climate change issues. And the reason it was not easy to agree on one climate agreement in 2015 and before then, it was just Kyoto Protocol or the small and partial agreements. The reason is it was from the government and between the government, but now the climate change, it doesn't have borders. It is the global issues, and it is not just national issue. In that sense, NGOs' expertise and their knowledges and their free voices is really needed to talk to the people on the ground and their own national government and international bodies, because it is not something that can be tackled only by the government. So in that sense, last year's the COP29 is significant because you gathered more than 10,000 NGOs representatives from all over the world, which is the biggest number of representation. Because NGOs, the reason the United Nations, when it was created, thought about having links and the engagements with the NGOs was they have the expertise and they have more of the closeness to the people on the ground. So that is all the more of the practically and really important to have their voices to be heard.
And my last question, if I may, when it comes to Azerbaijan, which is a relatively small country, geographically speaking, population-wise is not really that big, but it's located in a very interesting geography. It's a juncture, it's a crossroads of east meeting west, and you realize also it's located on the continental fault line. It's not global north by any definition. It doesn't belong to that world. But it's global south, but still it does perceive itself as a bridge between two worlds. And today, the Global South NGO platform being established here in Azerbaijan, and probably, I imagine, this institution will be headquartered here in Baku for some time. How do you view, from the UN perspective, credentials of a relatively small country, which is sort of punching above its weight, and trying to bring these two worlds together? How does it look like to you from New York City, from the capital of the world, as they say?
Yes, I'm from New York City, but I'm originally from Korea, which had suffered a lot by the inter-Korean War in 1950s, and we were poorer than most of the African countries in 1960s, and we were also not part of the developed countries until 2000. But what I can tell you is we have the experience and the knowledges of development and democratic change, as well as the human rights issues. In that sense, I was really impressed by the changes and transformation of the Azerbaijan. I visited Azerbaijan first time in 2005 when my president visited in Baku. And when I revisited last year and this year, it's totally different place. So even though I think the size of the population or size of the country or economic value is not important. It is more of your experience, what you have learned through that kind of transformation and what you've cherished through this kind of interaction with both South and North. In that sense, I'm really impressed by the leadership of the Azerbaijani government to foster this kind of the soft power to lead this kind of new initiatives, not only the COP, but the NAM and today's meeting.
Thank you very much indeed for this absolutely fascinating opportunity, Mr. Wook-Chin Chung. I'm so honored and delighted, and I very much hope that the conversation of this kind that we had just now will be somewhat replicated in the fullness of time, and we'll be able to reflect on the finer points of international legal system, international system, with a perhaps particular emphasis on the NGO element as well. So grateful to you.
Thank you very much. Good.